with Passion 10. I want to discuss your thinking. Thinking and attitudes and opinions are like snowflakes. Everyone is different. Your opinion is different than every other human being's opinion on the face of the earth. And I just want to explore your opinion so you consider some of the opinions I have and see if you want to modify some of your opinions. Leave other good thing to have if it entertains people. And entertainment is also a part of the commerce. People were against a lot of the Jewish people. They would not give Jewish people jobs. In the United States of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave did not include the Jewish people in different places at different times. And in fact, when Senator McCarthy started picking on Hollywood, he primarily picked on the Jews, but they were a large part of Hollywood at the time. And it has been a lot of time that the Jews and Hollywood and the people have not gotten away from that thinking. It's time to turn it around and understand being a liberal isn't the answer to everything. All of the work that we've put in trying to change the climate has been a waste of money. And why I say waste, I'm meaning you just take the amount of money that the United States of America spends on different situations, and it is a total waste. We need to end that. The United States of America does not need to be in business. They need to lead that up to the producers of the economy. Now, we have a gentleman called Rockefeller, Carnegie, several others that started the Industrial Revolution. We need to let it move forward and only be in doubt when one thing threatens it. And what that threat is competition. Anytime someone looks at what's being done and takes away the competition, yell out, do not go with anything that is non-competitive. And when the United States of America creates any kind of a society or an organization, it is part of a government call. Now, did President Roosevelt start Social Security? Yes, he did. Do I benefit from it? Yes, I do. Should Americans have a retirement? Yes, they should. Should the government be running it? Of course not. The government should run nothing. They are elected officials. They have term limits. There is no government. The government is the people. The only way it works is to put it back that way. That is part of the thinking I'm telling you. We have to get rid of our professional politicians. We have to have absolute freedom in America for every single citizen. And we have to understand that even with the broken system we have, millions of people invade our borders coming to get the crumbs that fall off of our table. So no matter how bad our system is, every day, thousands of people come to our border saying, please let me in. I want some of the crumbs that fall from your table. Now, what we need to do is we need to create systems where people get some of those crumbs, but in getting them, they're part of the production as well. And the government can't do that. The government can't create anything, including the IRS is not an efficient system. It's got to go public. You need to get rid of every government program and make them all contracts. Is there unlimited amount of things the government can contract for? Well, I don't think so. I think that we have a world economy. Our internet has already taught us that with the market that we have in a worldwide nature, that we can make money throughout the world. We want to include these people so that they will be part of it. Now, there are a lot of people with their head in a barrel that says we cannot put that many people to work. Well, the more industries we have, the more jobs there are. And what the world does not realize, and I've already put out there for the last several months, and I think I put it in some of my books as well, that I know how to build a spaceship. Now, I know that America is spending millions of dollars on getting into space. They have unlimited resources. That's why they're spending it. Everyone wants a part of the pie, whether they produce or not. Under the system of production, people get a slice of the pie when they produce more. And that is why capitalism works as well as it does. It's because of the competition. When you take the competition out, you don't have capitalism. You have any other form of socialism, communism, or anything else you want to call it. It's not capitalism. Capitalism has the competition built in. Take that competition out of capitalism, ceases to be capitalism. It is not what it was meant to be. It's not what made the world great. And if we want to do that, we need to understand why it got that way, understand the thinking behind it, and start pushing the competition. And that doesn't mean push the competition to the extent that you destroy it. You have to allow competition to be what it is. And that means people come from any angle they want to come from, and they don't have to do it the way you think it needs to be done. If they think of another way to do it, but it accomplishes the purpose, that works too. So we want to encourage all of those people to start thinking that way. And then when someone runs for government and says, I'm for term limits, I'm for making sure we have a balanced budget, I'm for any number of things that actually work, we will have people thinking well enough that we'll get those people elected. Now, I did see a poster in Israel, and I have to congratulate them for them. And they said, Trump needs our help. Is he the first president that stole an election? Well, not to a lot of people, because we like to think that basically democracy rules. And generally, we like things to go with what most people want. But the founding fathers create a system that did not make democracy alone count. And we have to give it to them that they told us something that we need to remember in our ability to have freedom and democracy and capitalism and competition. And that is what seems to be perfect is not always the perfect answer. That democracy alone does not work. People get emotional and they vote their emotion. Now, a lot of people know that, and I know that. And the reason I know that is when Barry Goldwater ran for election, I was sent down to North Richmond by the Republican Party to watch the voters. And I could not believe what I saw in North Richmond. Now, anyone that's familiar with California knows that we have not been overly generous to our African American brothers. They have been legally free for a couple of 100 years, and a lot of them still know they are still treated as a slave. Well, brothers and sisters, so are the white women treated as slaves. Until you start thinking the way I'm telling you to think, and you need to do it as well, you will treat each other as a slave. You have to remember, we did not buy you from a white man that destroyed your family and arrested your great grandfather and took him as a captive, as a slave. We bought that gentleman from black people that were killing other black people and stealing the slaves to sell. Were they be able to do that because people were willing to buy them? Yes, they were. So we have to be careful about what we allow people to do. For instance, we don't allow young people, minors, to buy any drug they want because they're not intelligent enough to use the information that they can glean to do what's good for them. Now, does it mean that we need to take care of them their whole life? No. At some point, every human being has to be taught you get the consequences for your actions, and if your actions are something that you're doing that damages you, you are the one that is going to suffer. But that is why we want to get more knowledge. We want to be educated. We want to know what works. And I have to say, being all part of the Democratic Party has not done our Jewish friends the kind of benefit they thought they were getting out of it. Now, they have made a lot of headway. They came up with a good little term that they called themselves Group of People, Equality in America. And so they can get a lot of religious things terminated from our school districts. Well, what does that tell us? That they were wrong? No. It tells you that when the government has a school district, it has to have competition. So that means that the government schools have to learn to work on a amount for each student attending school. Now, does that mean private schools should be able to be rewarded or paid for by the government to teach students the same information? Absolutely so. So have we been cheating the Catholic people? Of course we have. We've made the Catholic people pay for the education of their own children, which is have taken their money out of their pocket to have a better life that they should have had. And the United States of American government has been stealing that from them. We need to end all stealing. That means any time that the government is allowed to have anything. Now, it is written into the Constitution, and I do say that the government definitely should maintain a post office, but the post office has to have competition, and we need to finance the post office. But if we can do a lot of it by subcontracts, that will keep the price as low as it can be. When the government tries to run it with government employees, they can not do the job. It is impossible. It's human nature. It can't be done. No government has ever done it. No government ever will be able to do it. And it is time for us to wake up and realize the truth. And the truth I've been telling you is why I am doing this. I think the more Americans that are doing things that are actually true are actually doing God's will. And it is my will as a Christian to have everyone doing God's will, which means doing the truth. And it is true that if I tell you something that is not true, I don't want you to sell it to anyone. I am not perfect. Everything I open my mouth and tell you is not going to be proven to be absolutely true, but what is true needs to be passed on, and it needs to be passed on until someone knows how to tweak it to make it better. Is there partial truth to things? Yes, there is. Nothing maybe is totally true and nothing is totally false. Everything has a little truth in it and everything has a little falseness to it. I don't know the answer to all those questions. All we can leave it open is keep your mind open. And if you are a tunnel vision Christian, part of the truth of your thinking is, I'm not perfect. I may not see everything as true. So maybe some other people's thinking is a little closer than mine. Now, the only reason I mention that is then Christians will stop criticizing other Christians. If someone's in the first grade and trying hard to get to the second grade, don't criticize him for not being in the second grade. Let him go at his own pace and get to where he's trying to go, but help him to grow. And if you have to give in and tell him some things that you know aren't true, to encourage him to get to where he's going so he'll get to the next step, then you truly are doing God's will, because God wants everyone to continue growing. And that means if you're not perfect, you've still got a ways to go. And since I don't know any perfect people, I think that leaves a lot of us that have a little ways to go. So we need to continue doing it until we get there. So I want you to listen to what I've said. I want you to tell your friends. I want you to start adapting the attitudes that you cannot find that I'm telling you. If I tell you something about the Philistines and you can't prove it to be false, then accept it for now and go forward and see if it helps take us down the road to perfection. We're all looking for the same thing, and that is perfection. We want to be freer. We want to be more affluent. We want to have better opportunities. We all want to have a better life. We want to be able to enjoy more benefits while we're here. We want to have a long and happy life. As Spock would say, live long and prosper. But as we've learned, this is a old Jewish symbol as well. But we all want the same thing, and that's to live long and prosper. That's not my idea. It is not only the Jewish idea, but it was Moses' idea. We've been passing this down for thousands of years. Let's not lose what the Philistines had for maybe only, the worst the Philistines could have had was 3,000 years, because they were the first creators of bronze, the first human beings I knew that ever created anything. The rest, animals, only use what nature has provided and has put out there. Gold is out there, diamonds are out there. Now, we did have to learn how to cut diamonds, so some of the skills that we learn can be a part of the commercial system. It doesn't mean that God provided everything the best it can be. We can take a lot of stones, lapis, quartz, amber can be cut and polished. All of these things are things that nature can be improved upon. Now, does it mean we created it? No, we just put our hand on it and made it better. So there is almost no end to the amount of things we can improve. And the reason that I tell you that you don't have to worry about people on this earth, we have maybe 3 to 4 billion people. We may have a couple of trillion people on the face of the planet. I don't think we have a system that can count them well enough to know how many people are actually here. But I do know something else, that there are, I don't care how many people on this planet, there's that many other planets and asteroids out in the universe. And that means that that would be a planet or an asteroid for every citizen on the face of the world. So that means if they had to take their own ship and go out to that planet or asteroid to bring back to the Earth something of benefit for the rest of the people that were here at the time, it would still be a commercial industry that would benefit the Earth, and it would put everyone to work. So let's continue working together. Let's stop the destruction. Let's stop tearing things up. The only thing that should be demolished is demolishing something that it would cost too much money to try to fix. So we're tearing it down so we can build something more beneficial and substantial on the land it's occupying. Now let's move forward. Start telling your friends, start telling everyone what you're hearing after you convince yourself it's true. Once it's true, it's not only my idea, the idea belongs to you as much as it belongs to me. I don't have one idea in my head that I would say is an original idea from me. Every idea I have is I've followed things that Mark Twain has said or other individuals have said. Freeman has taught me a lot of things. Jesus Christ has taught me a lot of things. I've learned from others. And the thinking I have is the sum of all the things that have been added to me. So let's, as people have referred to, pour into the life of someone else. Each and every one of you should pour in the truth to other individuals that you associate with when you realize it is true. And it is true when you experiment on what I've told you and you can't find that it's false. Then you have to accept it as true until you find out otherwise. So let's move forward. Let's start getting people on board so that when these improvements are put out there to the public will elect the person with the good idea. We want good to supplant devastation that's happened over the last 2,000 years. We want to stop destroying. We want to end the murder and mayhem years. And we want to go back to the years of the Philistines where everything is progress. We want to move forward. Just move a little forward, a little more each day, and our grandchildren will thank us. With that, I'm going to have to terminate this one with Passion 10, but for now, I'll have to say goodbye, and I thank you for listening, and I encourage you to go out and teach your fellow friends and neighbors and people you run across the truth as you understand it.